All we have is 3 suspects wearing scarves over their faces.
Welcome everybody to today's edition of Vibe Nation Stop the Violence. I am Tony ETC, your anchor for today's episode. We will be talking about Africans, their way of life, their cultural background, and how they merge their cultural values with the Australian way of life. Australians here and Africans are having a wonderful time, and they are cohabitating, and they are making Australia proud as a great nation and as a continent. Africa is blessed with lots of talents, professionals, artistic people, think tanks, and like-minded people. These people are growing the Australian economy with their expertise, and that is why we are shedding light on them on today's episode.
And I think it's been a time to remind ourselves of the place of Africa in the world. Africa is the continent of the future.
This exhibition starts to break apart stereotypes or preconceived ideas of what Africa is. It's called Urban Access because for a lot of people Africa is very rural, so you ask them to paint a picture and all they talk about is the safari, the landscapes, but never really about the city. So we thought this exhibition should start to talk about the urban landscape and explore contemporary Africa right now. A lot of the artists work in the cities, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Harare and Kenya, Southern Africa, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, with a few touch points in Angola. And what they represent is the current discourse that takes into account the history, the tumultuous history of Southern Africa. So all the way down from discovery and the colonial period, focusing also on the apartheid era and the transitional phase and the current post-colonial, post-apartheid period. These are artists at the forefront of contemporary practice. Some of the works have been exhibited at the Guggenheim, Venice Biennale, Tate Modern. So we're looking at the big hitters when it comes to contemporary Southern African art.
I work for Murdoch University, one of 5 universities here in Western Australia. I work for the Research and Innovation Office, particularly on Africa and Indian Ocean, which is my portfolio. All of us, part of the African diaspora, were contributing to eliminating stereotypes about Africa and us Africans. It's liberating because it shows that Africa is coming into the 21st century.
I know Africa is far away, but not as far as you think, and that's part of what we are trying to get to. I hope that this huge symphony of voices from Africa today does find its place, and ultimately that dialogue between Africa and Australia can grow.
For me, painting a car is something that is mobile and it goes to the people. It's like an art radio comes to you than you coming to visual arts. My city, there's a lot of energy happening, especially with the new generation where I'm from. Back then, people used to not be traveling as much, and we are growing as a city, and we've got so much to learn from other cities, and that was one of my reasons to come here to Perth, exchange.
A lot of mainstream media has come in and seize the moment to try and put a negative or portray a negative side to Sudanese youth, and I've seen this a lot, especially in Melbourne, with the whole gangs and the thugs stigma that's been attached to Sudanese youth. And I feel like a lot of this stuff is not true. It's not to do with us not knowing how to assimilate or conform to Australian society. It's to do with a lot of post-traumatic stress, mental health issues, disability to communicate with our current community leaders. Sometimes we feel like they don't listen, and that's all we need. We just want them to listen or to try and communicate with us.
Africans in Australia are brilliant people and believe they are opportune to be able to become whatever they want to be as soon as they set foot to Australia. They see Australia as a greener pasture, a country where they can harness every opportunities bestowed upon them by the wonderful governance of the Australian people. I am your anchor, Tony ETC, for WTV.